our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we'd just like to thank you for the much needed rain we've had over the last 7 days. And bless us with any more that you can give us, and just guide each and every one of us this evening in our decisions. Just like to thank you. Amen.
Thank you.
Need an extra chair?
Do you need to come on back?
Come on in, Robert.
Sure. No. Yeah, there's a chair.
Okay, is there any additions to the agenda?
I was asked to add Carolyn to Scottsbluff County Economic Development to new business. And I'd like to go ahead and move new business up to the top of the agenda after citizens' comments.
Yes, sorry.
And one 5-minute executive session for non-elected personnel. 5 minutes. And then add one more, just I'm going to give a thank you to the women's league for something they offer the city.
And I would like to add to new business regarding the request from the Eden Valley Church. If Carolyn needs to make it, Amy, we can wrap it on, yes. Okay. Anything else, council? Do I have a motion, please? Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. Thank you. Consent agenda, John.
Approve the minutes for the regular meeting of May 15th, 2012. Approve the minutes for special meeting for May 21st, 2012. And approve appropriation ordinance 0605-2012 in the amount of $83,753.93.
So moved. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. Any citizen comments? New business. Trish?
Oh, okay,
Come on up if you need to use the table.
okay, yeah. Okay, 3 things, and these are the summertime events. I'm going to start with what the library is doing, because CIP's working with them.
Good.
Okay.
I'm glad you're going to do that. Good.
Okay, June 26th, it's a Tuesday. What's going to happen is there's going to be, the Kansas Cosmosphere is coming down. Everybody knows what this is about, right? Okay. We're going to start it at 7 o'clock in the square. We're going to have like 20-minute programs over at Hood's on astronomy and whatnot. The library is also going to be doing story time. I think it's like flashlight stories or something like that that's going on too. We're all going to kind of keep centered around the square. Originally we wanted to use this square, but we have a Horizon Park. So we wanted to see if we could move this out to Brown Field. Now I know the football field just got reseeded, and so we're thinking maybe we could use the baseball area. So we've got the trolley that's going to be here, and so we're going to shuttle everybody down to Brown Field, and then CIP will come in and they'll serve up hot dogs and all that stuff. The Cosmospheres program will be in the Brown shelter, that shelter building.
Okay.
Okay. That's going to last about 30 minutes, and then after that, they're going to have their telescopes and everything set up. It's going to be so cool. So everybody can, like, you know, and they're going to be out there for as long as they need to be out there, so that'll be nice. then the trolley will bring people back to the square.
Good. Good. All right.
Okay, what, we do need some things though. We were going to see if maybe we could get some of the benches, down at Brownfield for people,
Which benches you were talking about?
hard benches.
Our older ones now.
The ones we use for Jubilee?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, if we could get some of those set up. Christie's thinking like maybe 8, 10, 12 of them. I'm not sure if that, I don't know how many they'll see necessarily. We also need, there's a possibility that we may, at the 11th hour, keep it on the square. If we do, I will notify you immediately, but I'm pretty sure we're gonna move it to ground. And that's just because the Cosmosphere people haven't been here yet.
See for the work.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. Also, is there a possibility we can keep the city doors open while we're doing this for the bathrooms? For the bathrooms?
Should be able to.
So that's a done deal, and it's completely free to everyone.
Good.
Everything is free. Okay, so that's that.
What's the date on this?
June 26th, it's a Tuesday.
Starts at 7 o'clock.
And then hot summer nights, we want to schedule 5 of them if we can. It was just so successful last year. And here's the dates. June 16th. So only one in June. Then in July would be July 7th and the 21st. And then 2 in August, which would be August 4th and August 18th. If that's not the weekend of the Eden Valley's rally. I can't remember if there's just the 18th.
August 11th.
Okay, so that, okay. But 2 in August, 2 in July, and then just 1 in June. And this time we did pay attention. We scheduled around the rodeo and we scheduled around the fair. So, we don't have any surprises there. Again, same thing, if we could, with the city, is have the street closures. We kind of wing it. We don't really know what kind of entertainment we're going to have until we count the money up. But this time what we'll do, instead of if we do have our sound system set up, instead of having it down the street, we'll have it blasting this way across the square. We just didn't think of that last time. Well, the complaints teach you a lot. Again, for hot summer nights, is maybe we can have the bathroom doors, the city doors open for the bathrooms. You guys are able to secure the doors into here and the doors upstairs? Okay, all right. I think that's it for hot summer nights. It kind of just drives itself. Is there a possibility, Jonna, I know that you guys put I'm sorry.
No,
Jill.
you're fine.
Okay.
You're fine.
You know how you put flyers in those utility bills for things? Could we do one for the Kansas Cosmosphere thing?
You know, I was just thinking, as we have all these events taking place, if somebody would make one up of all the
One calendar?
events.
Okay.
And then we could maybe insert it one time for everybody.
Okay.
And they can just stick it on their fridge or
When does the
whatever.
next bill go up?
late though for the
Yeah, it would be, because our next bills will
Yeah, 'cause
go
the
out
bill
on
just
June
went out,
first, July 1st.
Okay. That's
So
all
that
right.
won't work for that, or
Okay.
your June.
But it'll help
other-
for July
Mhm.
and can I put other things on it too, like the rodeo and the
And
things
the
that?
Eden Valley's thing.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, and then the last thing is, CIP has been trying to get this thing going where they have a movie night during the summer. And there's been some logistics problems and there's been some material problems, and I don't know if there's a screen yet. We think there's a screen, we think there's a projector, we think we've got the movies. I don't know, everything, it just hasn't quite come together yet. But if we can do it, we'd like to do one of them on Saturday, June 30th, and that would be on the square, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, on the square. And kind of what, and this is kind of Terry's gig, because the movie that he wants to show, you know, it's an all-family movie, but it's about bike riders and things like that. And so he's looking at maybe setting up a bike ride through St. John in conjunction with this. And if he can pull it off, he's also looking at maybe like an overnight thing to where it would be nice if we could put people camping out at Brownfield overnight.
I thought I'd try to attract some of the riders from Great Bend to come out and see if we could have a little bike themed day, you know, and if they could ride their bicycles down and watch the movie. It'd be too late to ride back that night, but then they could camp and ride back or something.
Do an evening or a nighttime ride?
Yeah,
Where all the
see,
stars?
we're looking at maybe getting with the bike shop and buying a whole bunch of cheap little LED lights that we can sell cheap or give away cheap for the people to put on their bikes, so we could even do a twilight ride through town and some things like that.
Okay.
And the last thing, would the city be willing to give CIP any money for summer residents? Would you guys, I'm assuming you used to give money to Main Street, so I'm gonna ask on behalf of CIP. We really do this, I mean, we haven't had a fundraiser yet. We did stick a jar out at Jubilee, and I think we got $7. You know, so maybe a little more effort needs to go into that, but we've been doing it all just, you know.
Donations.
Exactly. And we haven't really asked for them. People like you walk up and go, hey, you know, I'll give you the watermelons and whatnot. And it's been great. And that's, we want to keep it free. We just want to keep it free.
Right.
But if the city decides that they've got some extra money that they would like to put towards it, it would be nice. Big donations is what helps us get the sound system or those photo booths that come out and things like that. Those are our biggest expenses. So if you would consider it, that'd be appreciated.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Well, thanks a lot.
What's, Trish, what is the average cost of doing the summer nights?
I would say if we don't do any of the big things like the photo booth ran us $500 every time we did it, okay? But it was used, I mean, from the minute we got going to the minute we closed. Typically the food and the drink, I would say a couple $100, $300 maximum. Just kind of depends. You know, when we started out, you know, it just got a little bit bigger for each time. And so we're hoping that this year will be even bigger than it was last year. But I think that's about what it is. So if you have 3, 4, 5, 6 events and you're going to be using $200 each time to feed them, and it's your beverage costs that get expensive.
And this is all free to the kids? correct?
Everything's free. We thought about, I don't know, maybe you guys want to think about this. We thought about keeping it free to the kids, but maybe an adult, maybe asking them for $1 for, you know, a hot dog, or $1 to eat all night or something like that. I don't know. I think it's kind of neat that St. John can offer this free thing, you know. So I don't know. We're certainly open to suggestions on that. It seems kind of cheesy to me, but you know, but they're broke, so yeah, I don't know.
I think maybe if you would just meal by donations, and then even for the kids.
Oh, it's a quarter or 50 cents.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when the school does by donation, I mean, I think most people realize that they're paying for a meal, and that it costs, I think a lot of the kids realize it costs.
Yeah, they do. They do.
So,
They do. Well, maybe
Well, you
just
could put a
the-
jar out there and try it. I mean, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Like last year when we did the thing I was cooking, there was quite a few people that had asked how much. So I mean, some people were expecting to pay. So I mean, if you put
Are they kids or adults?
both,
Oh, really?
yeah.
I'm thinking if we can get the adults to pay, then
If you just put a little jar out there that says donation
Yeah.
to benefit CIP.
Now it's
The
a
kids
movie
are
night.
always buying their own treats
Yeah.
and stuff, so I think they expect it, and I don't think it hurts them to, not everything in life is free, they need to know that
At the
No,
movie
but
night thing,
this
we're
is
gonna
free.
see about letting the cheerleaders run the cotton candy booths and sell, like if we do the movie thing, that way they can use it as a fundraiser if they want.
And you might check with Maxville, I know they do a movie night and do popcorn and stuff, and so you might see what they do for a screening. I know we
Yeah.
used to do that at the fair, I think Farm Bureau sponsored that, so,
That's a good
yeah.
idea.
We always, they might sponsor it for you, and we have a projector. We have 2 projectors actually.
Okay.
Walt
So-
Collins will donate $200 and make a donation to that and challenge the rest of the council people to do the same.
Oh, man. No pressure. Sometimes it's good to be the councilman, sometimes it's not.
I know some communities, or actually colleges, have used their, the scoreboard on their football field. You know, they cover the scoreboard and use that for their, screen.
Oh,
I don't know.
For sure we
They have used the side of the elevator
Exactly.
before, see.
What's that?
What?
They have show movies off the side of the elevator before. They-
Oh,
Or you could put a big sheet up against the back fence on, at the football, or the ball diamond.
How big of a screen, we got one that was made, they had movies here in Square a long time ago. It's made out of plywood, but I don't know if it's how big of an area you want. It's hard to
well,
remember.
that's kind of Terry's got the
I mean, we're
movie.
kind of adaptable to that, you know, I mean, we have a big.
I can show you what we have, it's already made up. Just in
Okay.
there.
That would be good.
Is it just painted wood?
Yeah, so that would probably work out well.
Okay.
We could set that.
one other suggestion on a screen is that Jumpin' Jay's out of Hatch has blow-up screens. that you
Yeah.
can rent. And
We actually looked on the internet, they're not too expensive to buy, $300. I just wondered how well they worked. I have to
yeah,
give it some.
we just took part in an event last week and they used one. And aside from them blowing a breaker, it worked really well. It tends to deflate when it's not.
Okay,
But
okay. Well,
it worked really slick,
yeah,
so.
well, we could go with the plywood one for the first one, at least we got that locked up. Cool,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you all.
Yes, you're very welcome, thank you, Trish and Terry.
Thank you.
Okay. Wade Sand, yeah, oh, go ahead, Carolyn. Okay, you come up here too.
All right.
You want to sit down, Carolyn?
Hey, wait, I wanted to.
I just wanted to extend an invitation to council members, but community as a whole as well, for an kind of exchange trip that Economic Development is organizing with the city of Atwood. They participated in a similar program that we were kind of approved for a year ago. They started a little over 10 years ago, and they've had some success in turning around some key things like school enrollment in an environment in northwest Kansas where you've got all those traditional strikes against you, like not close to amenities and all that kind of stuff. So we thought we might be able to learn some things from them. And it's June 28th. It's a Thursday. It'll be a full day. It takes about 4 hours to get there, so we're planning to leave at 7:15 in the morning, and we'll get there in time for lunch. On the bus on the way there, we're going to hear some presentation from some of the people that worked with them as a community, from the Kansas Hometown Prosperity Initiative. So you can kind of give us some background and orientation to what is going on there. Once we're there, we'll have a working lunch with community leaders. We'll hear especially from some that have been working with youth, and youth meaning in a broad sense, kind of young adults too. And entrepreneurship has also been a big focus of what they've done there. We'll meet with 3 different businesses that afternoon. One of them is a guy in his 30s that started a business that now employs around 30 people, I believe. And he's kind of done that a lot through recruiting a lot of his peers back home. And then we'll come back on the way. We've got a few things planned on the way back too, but the hope is that the whole experience will just kind of give us some motivation as a county, maybe some kind of unity in our vision, or we'll hopefully kind of use that time on the way back too to kind of think about some plans on how we might be able to use it and kind of next steps. So we've got room for about 40. We got a bus from Barton County Community College, so we're not taking a school bus. We should have, we're going to be doing a lot of riding, so hopefully it'll be a good, comfortable bus. It's got a microphone and a DVD player. I even have a video that may help us kind of fill some of that time too. Like I said, leave around 7:15 in the morning. We plan to get back around 8 o'clock at night. So we have a grant that's paid for the expenses, that in addition to Barton County letting us use their bus, which is a lot less expensive than renting a charter. We're able to do this without any expense to anyone other than your time to come. So would love to see some of you as council members, but again, community at large, anyone that's interested in being a part of that. There's certainly a lot of examples in Atwood of things that they've done through official channels, like the school management and some city things, but there's good examples of things that people have done just as citizens that have contributed to it too. So I have a sheet here for sign up. We have several people already signed up, so it'll be kind of first come, first serve. And if I can get back with you with whatever whoever's able to sign up.
When do you want it back by, Carolyn?
I'll check back with you in a few days, and if Jonna, if you haven't maybe given your name to Jonna, if you want to contact the Economic Development Office directly, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Okay. Weight Sanders. Did everybody get one of these others from Wade about the block around the square? It's in your packet. On these side of the square, we've always done it for their, I don't know what do they usually call it. Someone help me. The rally.
Rally.
Yes.
Rally, rally.
Yeah, the rally in the valley. Thank you.
Moved it to the square.
Yes.
Yeah.
August 11th.
Kind of cool seeing all the motorcycles coming to town. So.
Make a motion, we allow him to do what he wants to do.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Thank you. Okay, fire department. Michael.
Only thing I have is I'd like to add Rich Lamb and David Heller to the fire department roster.
Want to do it one together?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Jubilee weekend went well for you?
Yep, went good.
I think we had a very, very good parade. That seemed like it was a long parade.
Yeah, there was a lot of people in it.
There were, and there's a lot of people from this parade too.
Yep.
Appreciate you doing that, Michael.
Yep.
Any questions for Michael this evening? Police Department, Adam?
I just want to have a few minutes to ask some questions, discuss the recent salary increases for the department. Basically, without sugarcoating anything, I found it quite disheartening that the way that they were structured. I believe Charlie got almost a $4 an hour raise. Aaron got $2 an hour. I think I got 23 cents. So I guess I'm just kind of curious as to questions as to how that was, the ideas behind that. I don't know how else to word it, I guess because, you know, it just seemed kind of backwards to me. I mean, you know, I've been here for almost 8 years, and I started at the exact same salary that Charlie did, and it was just kind of a hit in the face to see somebody get that kind of raise. And I've had, you know, worked 8 years for any of the ones that I've gotten.
I will caution council, if you're gonna talk about any kind of job performance or previous evaluations, we do need to go into executive session.
What is?
That's different.
I would think we would love to do that, go in executive session.
So, a 2-minute executive session would include, council, mayor, Dawn, and Adam. John.
Give a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
And, we've got such a Central Kansas Local Environmental Planning Group. We talked about the drilling of private water wells and all that, and I've got copies we've handed out several times. I want to pass those out.
Take one.
Well, I guess I'm here just to answer any questions. I've been, visiting with Mel. I think he's mentioned a few things. You folks are concerned about permit fees and a few items like that. That $100 permit fee also includes a $75 state certified water test. And during a water well drilling, the water drillers, or the well drillers, will normally see somebody with our organization here 2 to 3 times before the project's done, and that's after the water test as well. So, I don't know what your folks' concern are, but I'll answer anything
Troy, what was your question?
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember what I was asking.
I think you had a question about what we were gonna get for just another $100 to have somebody come look at it.
Well, I thought it was more of, if something went wrong with the well, who did it fall back on? I thought it was,
Like I said, I don't know.
I think that's what it was,
It was,
wasn't it,
what I
Mel?
recall was, if we have someone down to inspect the well, and for some reason, at some point or another, is found that because of the way the well was constructed or whether there was a problem as far as maybe
Leakage or
contamination or something like that, who's,
Well, right now, you folks don't have any, as of it is right now, you folks don't have any legal matters for it at all. It's, the well can sit there and contaminate or leak or do whatever it wants. With us coming down, and if something happens, we revert it back to the well driller. If it's something the well driller failed to do, we take care of that. That's something that we address with the well driller,
Okay,
on that part of it.
so if we adopt this ordinance that we have, then we would be okay. Everything would, once they buy the permit, then they can't come back on the city,
No, they
correct?
can't come back on the city at all. The city, all the city's doing is just really adopting a county or a state code. Like Ness City, for example, they've done it. But Ness City has changed a few things and they've their city limits. So, no, nothing's going to be able to come back on the city at any means. I could take you around town here right now to wells that have been drilled, whether it was this year, last year, 10 years down the road, that to this day still do not have state-approved seals on it. That means anybody in the city of St. John can walk over, pop open that well cap right now, and do whatever they want to that water. City of St. John's having problems with their nitrates now. Well, you have a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old kid walk over there and pop that cap off that well right now and pour a quart of oil in there and see what's going to happen. The state-approved seals are not being installed on the wells that are being drilled in the city of St. John right now. And these are wells, whether they've been drilled and they're not pumping yet, the wells I can take you to right now are actually being used to pump water out of them. So the pump's in it, the pump's been installed, there's no state seal or approved seal on it right now.
How common is that
In other cities that don't adopt our code, everywhere.
but
When our codes are adopted, Because it gives us the jurisdiction as well as the city, by what I'm reading here, to make sure that it's on there, stays on there, and it's, you know, it's on there at all times. So, by what I'm reading here, you know, I know Mel and I have talked about a few things too, but, you know, it's giving the city the jurisdiction also to withhold the state and county codes. So, and now your city codes as well.
So we're
That's the way you
safeguarding
look at
our
it.
water supply.
Correct. And that's the way I look at it. I mean, that's, you know,
Definitely, that's
you
how I
know,
look at it
that's,
too.
you know, that's the way it is there. You know, now, Ness City, for example, they've adopted our codes, they adopted it years ago. They haven't had any problems with it since then. The only thing different with Ness City is they actually ask all their wells to be drilled in the back. They don't have anything on the street, from the street to the front of the house, everything's in the back. That's the only difference, you know, compared to our county codes. And then some of their footages are a little bit different. So, and they have to do that because of our city lots. There's just no way you can get that 50 or 100 foot. State code's 50 foot. Some of the counties have opted to enlarge that, and so for example, like Russell County and Rush County, theirs is within 100 feet of any building. And the reason they do that is basically for termite, you know, they're putting in those cetricons that will leak into the wells if it doesn't have, you know, the ground or the distance to filter it out.
So do you feel that everyone is able to put down a well with this ordinance?
If you're a licensed driller.
No, I'm saying, me as a resident, if my sewer line and my property line and my house are conflicting, will you split the difference and help that person get the well in the right spot, or you just say no?
No. Well, that's going to depend on what your city code brings. If it's a county code and it doesn't, if that county code states you're 50 feet from that sewer line and you're not there, you don't install it. The well driller won't drill. So that's going to be up to what the city decides on your footages. You know, now, like I say, state code is 50 feet. You know, if you guys want to go 100, that's up to the city. I will hold any, I guess, ordinance or rules that you guys want to put in. You know, I will enforce it the best that I can. You know, with the help of, by what I'm reading here, the city also.
Yes.
You know, so, you know, that's, I guess that's where you got to draw the line. I mean, rules are there for the safety of everybody, not just, you know, Mr. Smith, you know, or whomever.
Right.
So.
So if you have a small lot, it's a pretty good chance you're not going to get as well.
If you have a small lot and you folks decide to keep that at that 50 foot, you know, then no, you're not going to have a well drilled. I'm sorry. I mean, that's, you know, I mean, and like I say, that's, now you can have, you know, in the county, you know, we can have variances drawn up, but that takes a lot. I mean, we go to the commissioners, we go to, you know, we got rules and regulations that we have to follow through in order for those variances to be drawn up. And that would be something here that, you know, you'd still have to come to the city council and say, this is our situation. You wanted 50 feet, he's 48 feet.
Yeah.
Do you want it to go through or not? That's something that, you know, the city's going to have to.
And it's a case by case.
It's a case by case
If
basis.
you recommend, you just bring it to the council if it's close.
If it's close.
I would say, personally, I would like to see it as easy for people to get to water wells as they can. Because they're using that high nitrate water that's up above.
But that nitrate's not going to really clear itself out.
No, but every little bit you can get out is going to be that much more that's not there.
That's true. But how are you going to know what the nitrate levels are without these wells, or without these being tested? I mean, you have Mr. Smith.
What's it really matter?
Well, that's not true. You got a son or a kid that's walking out there and decides to take a drink out of a garden hose and does it, and it's off of, if it's off of a well that's drilled there, and you don't know what the nitrates are, wouldn't the city want to know what those nitrate levels are on every well drilled here in town? That's what we're offering for that $100 permit fee. That's what we're offering. To me, just that nitrate level would be something worth it. Now you can send those Servitech, you can send a lab to Servitech in Dodge City right now. It's going to cost you almost $80. That's just for that one test. Call down and get prices. Not only are we checking for nitrates, we're also checking for bacteria. There's two levels of bacteria there that we're checking for. with your groundwater being so shallow here, that's something you really gotta be aware of too. And whether it's a hand dug well, or it's a private well, or it's coming from the city's probably testing for bacteria constantly of their water.
Yeah, when we send in a sample or for a test, we get 10 or 12 different
Results on it,
scents.
yeah. Now, what's that test run the city?
We send ours to KEG, they lump a lot of them together, and of course, we send in our test for the coliform bacteria, but then they do a test of the well and do a complete thing, and I really don't know off the top of my head what they're.
So, and we do that in our lab. We have a lab in La Crosse, and that's where we do this.
And $75 of that is that water test.
Is that water test. So
You
for
said-
$25, we make sure, basically for $25, we make sure the driller's licensed. We come down and do normally an inspection while they're drilling, and then at the end we do an inspection, and then we file everything. I don't know what you guys do here, but you know, we'll have every well drilled in St. John from the time you guys adopt this code will be at file at our office. So anybody in here can call and say, when was this well drilled? What's the depth of it? What were the nitrate levels? What were the bacteria levels? We'll have record of that sitting there. We got records from every job.
Anybody can call and get that?
Anybody can call because it's public information. You can actually get on the internet right now and pull that out.
I'm just curious, how come it's public information when you have a private individual paying?
Because it's a well drilled. That well affects everybody in this county. It affects everybody in the city. The well driller is the one who has to legally put all that information in as he drills that well.
By state law.
By state law.
By state law, all the water in the state of Kansas belongs to the people, not to the landowner.
So if you do a test and something's wrong, how do you shut that down?
Well, you really can't shut it down. What you do is with the nitrate levels, you let the homeowner know, hey, this
Right.
water's not safe for you to drink.
Right.
If there's bacteria in it, we can chalk it, we can treat it. There's things that we can do for that.
Okay.
So,
How many cities do you overlook the same
Well,
situation?
city-wise, Ness City is in it, Russell's in it, and then a lot of the smaller cities, for example, like Bison, Otis, you know, but my larger cities, but I don't have that many. My large cities would be St. John and Ness. Those would be the largest ones that are in my counties that we take care of. La Crosse is looking at it now, but they're looking at a few different things there. Their water table there is real deep, so I don't think they're really concerned about the shallow water, because when they start getting deeper, it's costing the homeowner a lot more money.
And we did include in your packets there, Peabody just did something awesome, just to show that, you know, there's other cities looking at that also.
Yeah, and it states that, I don't remember what contaminants was in there, but it's $100 fine per day, no more than $500 per day. I don't recall what the contaminants would be, or penalty for any person, particle person.
See, that might be,
Violation. This is violation.
yeah, violations. Normally, it's somebody who's, I'm just gonna use, you know, Kelly's Water Well Service. They come in, drill a well without a permit. It's given the city that opportunity to make sure that they're doing things right, and that's what the Peabody's wording is there for too. I haven't had a chance to read this thoroughly. I was just handed it, so. You know, but that's like in our county codes, it's the same way. And that's giving you guys the same.
Every rural water well is it a $100 fee?
Yes.
It used to be 75, now it's 100.
They went up to 100, and the reason they went up, I don't know if you folks have heard that the LEPP funding was just vetoed out of the state budget. So, you know, we're on our own. You know, with our county contributions is how this, and our permit fees is what keeps us going. Permit fees a year ago, we're at 50, and then they jumped to 60, and we're at $100 now. We just did that. Would have been about a year ago this time, about September, I think, of last year is when we raised those up. So, do I see them going up? I do not. The board didn't want to raise. It's just like our water test. You know, we could have raised those tremendously, but the board said no, they wanted to keep them down, because they want people to have the water tested, they don't want to scare them away from that. So, that's where we are with
Yes, Bob.
The state seal that you're talking about on this top, this cap on this water tank, or on this water well,
that.
who can break that?
The one that's here in town?
No, if we do this, who can break that seal?
What can break that seal?
Well,
If I have that on
someone's gonna be out there, you're gonna see somebody doing it.
Well, I
Because
mean, can
there's,
Kevin Davis break it?
yeah, anybody can break in.
Anybody can break it.
But it's sealed where it's gonna take more than somebody going out there with a pair of pliers and knocking the lid off and doing what they want.
Okay, well, where I'm headed with this, say my water well quits
Mm-hmm.
Christmas Eve, and I call Kevin and say, I need some water, we need to run a new pump in my well.
Yeah, they
Is
can
it
break
legal for him to,
Yeah, anybody can do it.
I can cut that?
The state approved seal, well, the state approved seal, and Kevin can tell you too, being in the business that he's in, you know, it's sealed on there. It's almost like a compression fitting. It's
Okay,
gonna
you
take
seen-
somebody out there, it's gonna take somebody out there with some tools to take it apart.
Okay.
Basically, it's trying to stop that 9, 10, 11, 13-year-old kid who's gonna try to do something. Somebody
that's
that's got
what-
common
it's not
sense
a-
is gonna
not
have to
a-
take them
It's
out.
not a lock seal.
Not a lock
something.
seal.
No, it's not a lock seal.
It has a rubber screen on the bottom to let air in, so you can't pour any contaminants.
It's not a state lock seal.
No.
That's,
No.
what I guess I should
Yes,
ask.
no, that's, the state approved seal is just something that they, and there's 2 or 3 of them out there. You know,
Okay.
different makes and models and varieties that we can use.
Thank you.
And if Kevin does break one, then would you have to call
No.
Robert and say, you can put in a seal on this?
No, because when Kevin puts a seal back, if Kevin was to break it, when he puts it all back together, you know, that seal's there.
Okay.
I mean, it's,
Just a rubber compression
yeah, it's
seal.
just a
that-
compression
Okay.
seal.
7/16 bolts.
Okay,
you know, so,
okay,
I mean, anybody can take it off and anybody can put it back on.
okay.
No, I was just making sure that it wasn't something that was a lock state.
No, no, sir.
Any other questions, council?
And is there any regulation on how deep you're gonna be able to tell somebody to drill these wells?
Now, in our county codes, no, I was kinda looking at in your city is what you folks were looking at. I mean, like I say, that's gonna be something that you folks, you tell me what you want and I will enforce it when it comes to that. But in the county codes, no.
So say if we wanted to make it where not anybody probably could get a well if they wanted to, we could put the restriction down to 25 feet from their house?
You could put that down to 25 feet to the house. Would I recommend it? No. The state variance of the state code is 50 feet from the house. You know, the city has jurisdiction over that. But would I go any closer than that? I would.
I don't know why we'd want to do that if it would compromise the water system. I mean,
Contaminate the water.
Like I said, there's a
mean,
reason they do that.
Right.
I understand wanting people to be able to do it, but if it's risky at all, I don't think we want to do that.
Any other questions, council?
If you have a water well now, what do you need to do to get your seal on there so that somebody can't do something to it?
Well, and that's, you know, that's gonna have to come up, I think that's gonna have to come from the city. Now, if they would like me to kind of enforce that or help the city enforce it, I would be happy to. But that's gonna have to come down from the city first, because right now, everything, before you adopt these codes and you put these in, anything before that's going to be grandfathered in.
Right.
So how it is how it is.
But say I just voluntarily wanted to have it sealed.
If you want to have it sealed, I mean, I hate using Kevin as an scapegoat, but Kevin can put it on.
Okay.
You know, any plumber or anybody who puts any wells or pumps in the wells, they should be they should have that item on hand.
Okay.
So, you know, and where you're gonna Kevin, what's a state approved seal run? I mean, a cap run for a well.
Oh, I'm sure they're anywhere from $30 to $50, whether it be a
So you can do that to
conduit
And
cap.
then your labor is,
Well,
But you know, you can take a 4-inch conduit cap and put it on there. That's not a state approved seal. You can buy that at Walmart for $1.50 to put it on. So
Appreciate you coming down.
okay.
Yeah,
If
thank
you guys have any other questions, holler. I mean, my cell phone number.
Yep.
I'll have it on for the next hour or so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
Safe drive
Take
home.
care.
Yeah.
Okay, council. What do you think about this ordinance?
Wanna go back and do your-
Let's go ahead and go through.
Go ahead with-
can.
Yeah. Does council want to go ahead and do something with this ordinance? I mean, I think he made a very big point there. He's very, I'm glad he came down. Not contamination.
Everyone, I'm confident in it. Means, everyone in the rural, if your water well dries, you have to go to the soil conservation, give them your $100, fill out an application, fax it if you're in a hurry. If not, it might take a week. Everyone else does it.
And so, yeah,
But I'm like Troy, on 50 feet, I don't know, the guy can stretch it 10 feet, 40, I don't know. It's gonna be difficult for some and not for others. And like you said, you can bring it to the council and give a variance.
could
If
look
it's if he says 2 feet,
could look
you
at
get
it.
the variance.
I'd like to see us move forward on this tonight if we could, only because we've been discussing it for 4 months, a year.
Longer than that, I think he did it. I think he did good, so I agree with Amy. Go with the 50 and
Come to the city with a variance. I feel good about that.
Bobby, Kevin, Mark, Lori.
Do we need to have the variance put into the ordinance?
Probably, I don't
That's
think
what I
it
was
was in
gonna
there.
say, it's not in here, so.
Okay.
You guys-
Well, I would like to see that
But
put
can't
in.
we approve it?
We can prove it.
Change knowing that's
Yeah.
going.
Well, I can bring it back next time.
Okay.
No.
Approve it with the change,
Okay. Just allowing for a variance
Yes.
process.
a variance process, exactly. 50 feet with the variance process.
I would suggest that somewhere along the line that you have someone give you some restrictions on how deep that well goes. I would say you want to stay in the upper water tiers here where the contamination is.
I thought we talked about that the last time.
It's not in here though.
It's not in our,
Well, I know that.
I'm just saying,
but we do.
you need to address that at some point so that people aren't punching wells down into the, if you got good water at 105 feet, you sure don't want a bunch of people punching holes down there to get water to irrigate their house. I mean, their garden. I mean, it's,
That's probably true. So what water
So-
level would be okay then?
Can we
What?
add
I
that?
think-
Can we add that?
I think you need to add that somewhere in there.
Okay,
You
we'll
have-
just,
you have no well.
to be specified, we can,
I would probably get a recommendation from Ned or somebody that knows the hydrology, but I would say,
yeah, plan or,
any of them.
True. That would be good.
Get a recommendation from them as to depth not to exceed. You know, a lot of wells in town that irrigate yards here are 60 feet of Scott's point. I mean, they'll get you all the water you need. Just for example.
I would make a motion to approve ordinance 1011 with the addition of the variance and the depth of the water wells as approved by Ned or Jeff or whoever Mill talks to.
With a 50-foot
minimum or,
Distance from the
Yeah.
structure.
yeah, she said that.
I think you ought to leave some room there just in case somebody wants to drill a well to supply their house. And there's good water at 105 foot. He made a comment that the water belongs to the people. You know, if they choose to drill their own water well and they want to go down and get the good water, I can't see that you can keep them from doing it.
Well, the motion was per Ned Marks or Jeff, what they would recommend.
I realize that. But you're wanting to control it up to 50 foot, I can tell them it's
No, no,
one
no,
dog.
no, no,
No,
no.
I'm just suggesting.
From a structure. From a
Horizontal.
structure.
Just
The
as a rule,
state-
just as the state of Kansas, 50 foot from the structure.
From a structure.
Yeah,
But-
but
But
there's,
as far as depth
No,
goes,
he didn't
that'd
say
be on the
that.
Oh, I thought he was
recommendation.
talking
then.
about
No.
this.
Well, and he is.
I mean, I threw out the idea of 60 foot was probably, if you're gonna just do garden, 60 foot's probably plenty deep.
Deep enough.
But if you wanna have 60 foot for a garden well and 105 foot for a household well, I mean, if that's what you wanna put in there or whatever, I mean, you can, I think the numbers ought to come from Ned or Jack or somebody who knows,
Yeah, we need.
knows the hydrology of the city, I'm just giving you generalizations.
Yeah, and I'd like to see those numbers before I approve it.
yeah, I would like to see that.
And I think we've made a lot of progress, but
I don't think we've made any
We
progress.
haven't made any progress with this, Kevin. No, we haven't.
we're
We
down,
haven't.
we're down to filling in.
I think it's
one
coming up
blank.
on a year that we've tabled this and tabled this and tabled this. I mean, are the numbers gonna change your mind?
No, I just want to know what it is. If it's going to limit it to 60 foot, we need to put in there, if you're doing it for domestic drinking, you're allowed to go deeper. If not, then you
That's
need
what it would say.
That's what it would say.
to- right. But if you want to wait for Ned or somebody's opinion, then we need to wait.
Really, I mean, what's the advantage of approving it with that when you're gonna change the whole thing anyway?
Because it's just one more thing that we're tabling again and again and again. We're a council that's not getting anything done at this point.
But my point is, what's this, it ain't worth the paper it's wrote on if everything's gonna change a week
Not
down the road.
everything's changing. This entire ordinance has been written and we're putting in the variance. You know, I'm just trying to get stuff done.
Right.
If you
You
guys
know.
are in an executive session, I'd be glad to get a hold of Ned if he's available, or you guys are in there and talk to Jeff and see if I can come up with some numbers.
Okay.
I'm satisfied with that.
Okay.
Okay, but right now we have a motion on the table, so do
Very
you
true.
want to withdraw your motion till later, or do you want to, what?
You wanna go forward with it, Amy?
I'll just go forward with it.
Is there a second?
Can we just let Mel call?
There's a motion on the table, but
You have to
It
finish the
died.
motion.
It died like
It
a
died
second.
for lack of a second.
I like a
Yeah.
second.
okay. So, private water wells, okay, now you need a 5-minute executive session.
You want to know it? Oh, yes, I do, yes.
And why don't I just go ahead and do the thank you now? if that's all right? Okay. The Women's League here in St. John purchased a bench for up there at the pool. And they paid, the city also bought one, we split the shipping on it, but $480.50 is what they donated to the city to buy a nice bench for up there at the swimming pool. So I just wanted to make mention of it so people would know where one of those came from. I know it was a very nice gesture on their part. Sure want to thank them for that. So.
Can we send them a thank you note?
Yes.
Would that be good?
Yes.
Yeah, they've done some, they paid for the screenings up there for the lattice work and everything a number of years ago, so they really helped out a lot with their pool and different things for the creative areas, so.
I would like the consensus of the council to have Mel bring the numbers from 2 different people to the June 19th meeting.
For what?
The numbers on your restriction.
I'm
You-
gonna probably know in the next 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Get ready to call.
I'd just soon not have an executive session and change the agenda.
He's
No.
having an executive session on something else.
Oh.
He's having an executive
Yeah,
session on
I'd asked
something
for a
else.
5-minute executive session.
It has
at the
nothing to
beginning.
do
It has
with
nothing
that.
to do with that.
Something else. So,
Okay.
okay, so you.
Now I'd like to request a 5-minute executive session for non-elected personnel, include myself, Jonna, the mayor, and Don.
So then,
What's your subject?
That's it. Personnel change.
Personnel change.
That's just supposed to be a little bit.
Okay. Do you have an executive session? Someone make a motion?
I move.
Someone second?
Jonna and Dawn, or do we just want to just go back to that? Okay.
Oh, let's get that
Adam?
Okay. Let's go another 10-minute executive session. 10 minutes, council? I guess I should ask.
So moved.
10-minute executive session.
Okay.
Second? You have a motion? Second.
I'll
Second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Oh, okay. Sorry, back to Mel.
I got a hold of Ned Marks and get a hold of Jeff, but anyway, he said 60 feet was a reasonable depth for someone that's used for irrigation, a yard, garden, or whatever, 60 feet is a reasonable depth. He did say on the, if someone came in for, and I think we need to do that as a specific permit, when they come in, they're gonna tell us what they're gonna do with it as far as the
Correct.
yard or garden or whatever, and for irrigation, and then we're gonna put in drinking water well. They would need, if they go by the standards that the state has, they'll be done right. He said they need to grout all zones except for the zone that they're gonna be using. In other words, if they go to 105 feet, they're gonna grout all the way down. He said you might wanna limit it to, I'm not sure what the state said, but he said a 10-foot screen as far as that, but everything else they have to grout all the way down so there's no chance of any contamination coming from above down, so.
So that's the state
But he says
regulation.
it's in the state deal if people would just go by. So.
That sounds good. Okay, so does council,
So once again, I will move to approve ordinance 1011 as stated earlier. No, not as stated earlier.
Yes.
with the correction,
With the variance process
Allowed.
and the 50-foot minimum distance from any structure.
and the state
Well, then 60 foot for a
guard
irrigation
or
well.
for a yard,
The maximum depth.
Yeah.
yes. Grout.
And follow the state regulations for a drinking water. So then do we need to? Okay, so my motion's on table, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Bobby, you say no?
Yep.
Troy said no.
You don't need to be back now, do you?
Okay.
There were two ordinances.
Yes, I
Yes, there is
was
two.
wondering about the second one.
Yes.
Which should be 1012.
And that's the 50. That's the 50 feet.
The second ordinance is on the sanitary.
Oh, the sanitary. Okay, my bad, sorry.
The only question that really, I think, is on the footage, as far as if there's so many feet from the sanitary sewer, that needs to be decided what you're comfortable with. The other ordinances we have in place right now, it says any structure that has a sewer within the block that the building is and it's going to be hooked to the sewer is required to hook to the city sewer. We got into an issue, you know, the residents that there was a sewer line down the front, but the house was way in the back and it really wasn't practical to get to them. So we get into, and I talked to Robert a little bit while we were out there, and he says he thinks it would be a good thing to have a footage on there with the same type of thing to be maybe a process as far as a variance or something that would need to be reviewed. He says you're going to get into situations where if you say 250 feet, you're going to have somebody 275, same thing as this with a water well, and it's not going to work, but we can change it to this. So I think he was indicating that he thought that would be a reasonable approach as far as, I don't know how many feet to take, so that's, I don't know.
The county's 100 feet, isn't it, Kevin?
Yes.
The county is 100 feet
Yes.
from sewer line?
Right,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, Stafford County, like this ordinance says, we use that on a regular basis. We've used it on the Taylor addition out east.
Go ahead.
Well, we're talking about
Every
hooking
day.
sewer up to the city's sewer, not water.
Not a water
We're not
line.
talking about a water well or anything like that. We're
Right.
talking about hooking up a city.
Let's say, why would a county even
Yeah,
have a law, because they don't have a sewer system?
Yeah, that's,
Right.
yeah, we're just talking about someone requiring them to either hook to the city sewer line or allowing them to put in a lateral system or septic system.
What's the standard depth of the lot? 3?
It varies, and that's a perfect example there.
Varies.
Well, no, but just an average, probably.
125.
Yeah, probably, that's not probably not
How
too
much?
far off.
125.
Just split it down the center. And then otherwise we can do it by variance.
Anybody could come, if you allow a variance process, anybody could come and ask anything, and
Right.
it could be considered.
Right.
Is that fair, Don? I mean, was that?
Yeah. I wouldn't do anything closer to 50 feet.
What's the county?
There's not
Yeah,
one
they have a
in
sewer
county.
system.
County, this is, yeah.
The purpose of that one ordinance was only for those very few places in town where you have, just the, where you don't have city sewer. I mean, there's not very many places, so this is to fill the gap.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if somebody's gonna build a house on the lot, they're gonna be at least halfway down the lot, so just split the lot, that standard lot in half, and if there's something that we're gonna put a deal in there for a variance anyway, so.
So 50 feet sound good, Mel, or not?
Well, I think,
What do you think?
I don't know as far, I think that's probably too short, probably. I mean, there may be some, we have
60,
tracks.
Kevin?
He's saying 6250.
I'm just saying, just say 75 feet. I don't care.
Yeah, right. We don't know exactly what.
That way it covers most of it, so you ain't burdened by anybody that's just doing it on a normal lot.
Right, but the only thing you're gonna get into, and that we'll have it covered here for allows variance, is you have tracts of land in town, not.
Well, that's what I said, we were
blocks.
gonna put a variance in there, so.
If you have someone that owns a tract of land, we have them up there, they're pretty large, and so they may have their house on the corner and up the sewers at the other end. So I think put down some distance and then allow
With the
variance.
variance process.
So,
So say 75 feet with a variance.
What do you mean? Makes sense.
Okay.
And I'll go and make a motion to adopt it.
1012.
Yes.
what's the first one?
1011. Variance option.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Thanks, council. Okay, so, Dawn, you'll get this back to us, the right, the right way. Okay. Okay. All right, is there any questions for Melvin? What, Melvin? You're laughing at me, what did I do? Okay.
This maybe, did we have to vote on any of that night stuff or anything like that?
Oh, that night stuff? No.
Yeah, for the city, I mean, we had to approve the one deal, I didn't know if we had to approve the other deals or not.
No.
For the
She was
Saturday
just-
night deals.
She
or
was just
whatever.
letting us know what nights they were, so. but-
Unless you were opposing it.
No, I'm not opposing it, I just, I think it's a good idea, I just asked.
Okay. All right, and then also too, I don't know.
Oh.
For donations, the
Yeah.
city would donate.
Mid-Kansas, right? Gave us electrical.
That's private donations.
Yeah, I'd have to go before the board.
If the city.
Yeah.
So he,
Yeah.
Can I ask that now? Okay. Council, do you want to give a donation?
I'm not opposed to a small donation, a donation of some size.
with half the petty cash, be 300, what's your spending in cash?
Petty cash is,
600?
No.
we wouldn't do it out of petty cash.
Well, I'm
You
just,
have to come out of the water line.
Yeah, what do
Because,
you,
yeah.
you just say the amount. That's what I'm concerned about.
I don't know the dollar amount, but like I said, I'm not opposed to donating to it. I think it's a good idea.
donate the Mel's crew, donate the bleachers.
You know, like $500.
That's our entire beautification fund. And you guys won't raise beautification. So,
What's your point? Is it too
I think
much?
that's a lot. I think that's a lot.
Well, I didn't know if it was too much or not enough.
Yeah.
250?
That's within reason.
I have to abstain.
You do?
Yeah, because I'm part of CIP.
250 is fine.
I'll second 250.
Who made
I
the
just said,
I don't know.
I just
I'm
said
just saying.
250, just,
Whatever.
Amy thought 500 was too much, so it's up to them.
Yeah, I mean, that's within your spending authority.
Well, you guys,
Yeah.
you
She
have a
can't.
spending authority.
She can't
We can
spend
spend
any of
whatever
the
we want
money.
to spend.
Right.
You tell me, I'm
You
just
tell
waiting
John
for
it.
instructions.
I would say $100.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Do we have a second?
No.
Kevin
You
moved.
did.
Oh, I thought he
I
seconded.
moved.
Yeah,
You
I'll
second.
second.
The
I'll
$100.
second. I should have seconded, sorry.
Any more discussion? All
That
in
ain't very
favor?
much money.
Okay, there's a motion on the table, and a second.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
Needed to be more than that, but that's fine.
Mark abstained. So it's aye. So it's
Oh.
aye. I'm gonna vote no.
Are you?
Do we have another motion? You said it wasn't enough. Do we have another motion?
Well, if the private, I mean, he did a private 200 also. Why not 200? At least match the private citizen on the
Second.
council, I guess.
That might get you in trouble by matching, because that might happen again.
Okay. We got
Mine.
a motion.
You can always vote no.
Is there any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Thank you, council. Okay, so, Donna, Jubilee,
basically just letting you know that it all went off, and thank you for everybody that helped out with everybody's little bits and pieces that make it all run. And we had probably, I think we had 41 booths that registered, 40 showed up, so that is the most that I've ever seen down here. I do think our numbers were down as far as people up here, and I think probably that had a lot to do with harvest. But other than that, I think everything went really well. I haven't heard any complaints yet anyway, so good.
I've got a comment on that, if I can make one.
Yes.
Next year, I would like to see the Jubilee Committee offer the Recreation Commission or whatever, give them $100 to lease them tables so we don't have to pick them up separately. Ask them if they would be willing to leave them out for $100.
It's sunflower
Seniors, whatever it is, I don't know what it is. If it costs $100 to keep them out overnight, then so be it. Give them $100.
And if one comes up missing, we replace it.
We'll replace it.
Over and above the $100.
Okay.
It's nonsense picking tables and chairs up for 6 hours. And if they don't want to do that, then I suggest that we find some money and buy our own table and chair.
Okay. Good suggestion. Okay, is there anything else?
The reason I say that, me and Davis
Yes,
got all
no.
over the streets.
I watched you. Same thing.
Oh, yeah, I do have, I do need a little guidance in doing the Jubilee. We always have trouble with the children in the fountain. This year was really, really, really tough. I mean, it was like a swimming pool. It was hot. And, you know, but you know, I was constantly asking them not to have their, you know, bodies in, that they could splash themselves and stuff. I knew they were hot, but the liability for us if something would happen without a lifeguard or anything.
So maybe we just need to post a no swimming sign. For liability reasons.
That's a good idea.
If they would pay attention to it. But I mean,
Well, yeah,
there's
they
no,
don't, does it?
Most of them can't read. They're
Does the
like-
sign negate any, or is it just a waste of time?
Well, I don't know.
Why don't you
Wichita
get your
River
armed
Festival.
guard with AK-47s in there? Who said that out there?
At Wichita River Festival, they put a stop to their kids in the mountain. I know they really.
They
You're gonna have to have
police.
somebody there and enforcing it with some
Yeah,
folks.
I did
So
have
if you
a-
want- If you wanna get tough, then get tough. I mean, that's half the fun of the Jubilee. I mean, no one's gotten hurt to date, you know. Kids like to get in the water and play, I mean.
Wouldn't
have
it be fun
somebody-
to put one of those water shooter things in there?
Well, I think it'd be fun if we put one in somewhere else.
The only thing I will comment on is that this year on the fountain, when we were getting ready to be painting everything, that fountain is very old.
Yes.
There's parts on it that are fragile, and Jonna caught somebody starting to climb that thing.
there was more, and I had people report to me that they saw kids actually on the second tier
So-
that I didn't see, so.
That thing cannot be replaced.
No.
We had to do some repairs this year, and something may happen, and it's just going to be, you know, an economical repair, and we don't want that to happen around.
And more than that, somebody could get hurt really bad.
The history behind that fountain is what?
It was the
Well, they
Hesperian
climbed
Club.
back in the
Yeah, way back.
20s or so, and it goes way back.
Is it concrete?
No, it's cast iron.
It's cast iron, but part of it is a hot metal type. We had a part that failed this year, and I'll be able to repair it. But I'm just saying, if somebody does something. So,
I did have a citizen, actually, county health nurse said that she would stand post if we so choose to put her there, because she was very concerned as well. And I was by about every 15 minutes or so and was able to kind of move them out and ask them, but, you know, as soon as I turned my back, you know, we're back in there. And I will say, there was one little guy that was chest deep in there, and when I tried to have him get out. I mean, because obviously I can't pick him up and take him out, because I'll be in big trouble then. But his sister, or the little girl that was with him, which was a little larger, had to help him get out. If he would have gone under, he wouldn't have been able to get back up. So I don't know, other than posting somebody right there with him.
I don't think maybe posting signs, hopefully people would, you know, I know.
You post your sign off the fountain, 4 sections of roses right against the concrete. As soon as you get in, you look across, ooh, no swimming in the fountain.
Dye the water like yellow or something, you know.
Yeah, I just like, you know.
Well, we could, I mean, and even hanging off, making off the fountain somehow or something.
Adam had a comment?
Yes.
You got your, whoever it is making comments, you know, over the PA, I mean,
True.
if they could,
Yeah,
I don't know if it would help much, but.
they really can't hear him very well from over there.
Oh, you can too.
You can?
Yeah.
You
Okay.
hear the bingo announcer?
No. But anyways,
Are
we'll
you
figure out
feeding the
something.
microphone?
I had one.
You had a microphone.
Every day I walk by, I know the bingo.
Okay. Okay, so that's the Jubilee report?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2.
Okay. It's that time of year again for budget workshop. You just need to schedule, and we have there's certain time periods that have to take place, certain amount of time in between the public hearing, publishing the public hearing, and when I get it to the county treasurer, or county clerk. So in looking at the schedule, I'm looking at if it works out for you guys, if we get your regular meeting is July 3rd, I could hopefully have things ready there. And you wouldn't have to, you could do your workshop, make any changes, you know, that you want. I could bring it back to you on the 17th for your approval before it would have to be to the paper on the 20th.
So move.
Well,
You doing a workshop before the meeting on the 3rd? Or
it could be after.
After?
Yeah. That way if we have citizens here, you know, they can go on about their business. Or they can stay and for the workshop either way.
After is what I was moving towards.
I don't know that we need a motion for our workshop day.
It takes about 2 hours.
It takes however long you guys want it, and I'll try to have things out to you ahead of time, but I know in the past, and you can give me some guidance here, how much do you want ahead of time? Do you want all my worksheets? Do you want me to just write our
We need to
concerns?
have, we need to have our concerns by this June 19th meeting,
Yes.
and
June 3rd.
where we're gonna shape the budget.
July 3rd.
June
That's
9th.
the workshop.
Right, but June 19th is our next meeting, we could give some guidance at that
Uh-huh.
meeting. To where if anybody wants to shape the budget, trim anything back. then-
That's really what we'll do on the
budget
3rd.
workshop.
Well, I didn't know that you'd still give you enough time to prepare.
Yeah, because I'll use the next 2 weeks to get things taken care of
Sounds good.
what you guys have to. But I don't know what you want ahead of time, because in the past I've given you lots of information and everybody's like, what is all this, you know? Then other times, you know, I want to give you enough that you can, I want to give you everything that you want, I guess, you know, so that if you want it all ahead of time so that you can look it over, or do you want to wait till the workshop and I just go through and explain it and continue after that, or? I'm good with you bringing what you have for the 3rd. Okay. Everybody else?
You need to all be together when we're talking about it.
Okay. That's what I'm.
Yes, sir.
So the consensus of the council is July 3rd after the regular meeting. We got some work to do, Mel.
Food and beverage will be split.
We will. get the stakes flew in?
Yeah. Donated by Bobby's family. Okay.
And the tram.
No. Okay. Is there any questions for Donna this evening? Todd?
I came to you probably a month and a half ago and advised you what Stafford was doing regarding a grant proposal for upgrades to the power plant. Stafford sent out an RFP, request for proposals, to 5 companies. 3 of them didn't even reply, they were too busy. 1 of them replied, well, 2 replied. One was the company that we were looking at, hopefully they would reply, said they were too busy. They'd done it.
Just put her out of the equation. I did call Hanson today and try to get an update, see if anything could change, but last time I talked to him, it's gonna happen, so if we can do something here to help save us money, and in the meantime, we can maybe get some help on some other upgrades for our electrical system or plan, I think that would be.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and move forward with the engineering or whatever you're talking about for the grant.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
What are you based on?
I just don't think it's worth it. I physically think that they can come in here and make you do it, and nobody else does. All the diesel engines you own, they're not making you put them on.
They're going to.
They are.
I'm gonna be out of business.
They're not gonna come in and make McCann-Sag do it.
How do you
No,
know?
No, every time we buy a new piece of equipment, it's already done.
We're going into tier 3 right now. Isn't that right, Troy? Is it 2, 3, or 4? Okay, we're going in tier 4 right now. It's coming.
I say all our new sprayers.
This town can't afford it. Plain and simple.
Well,
You're gonna have to figure it
we'll
out.
we'll be okay. We'll figure it out. No, we can't afford it if we don't apply for help.
That's throwing money down the tube.
It's your money. It's your taxpayers' money.
Applying for that and paying money to apply is throwing money down the tube when you have to do it anyway.
Well, don't
That's
think,
what I'm
Kevin,
saying.
what I would say, Kevin, to yours, if you don't get the grant, what the study will do is give you basically a long-term plan on what improvements you need to make to your electrical system, and give you phases on what needs to be done to keep it up to grade. And if nothing else, this is probably well worth the money just to have a long-term plan on the books. It'll give you guys talk about not having a long-term plan. This will at least give you a long-term plan to have on the books that you know what needs to be done to keep your electrical system up to date. And so it would be good to have that done anyway, whether you get the grant or not. So
Again, it's
you're not,
risk management and good planning.
So you're saying it's not just for Cadillac converters?
It's
I mean,
everything that we're gonna have to keep up.
it's everything. I mean, Stafford is going to use it for engine replacement. They're going to use it for maybe putting in a switch gear. They're going to use it to put in some new lines that need to be, some primary lines that need to be replaced. I mean, they're going to have a long-term 5 or 6 year plan. But in order to start with that first year, you've got to have something on paper saying this is what needs to be done.
I thought we paid $10,000, and they said, "Yep, you need 3 Cadillac converters."
No, I mean it's.
We paid to have a test, and they weren't in that power plant an hour.
They're a lot lower than that.
Sure about that?
I would look at them. They set up their equipment, had their testing it, they did two units.
But you know, if we don't have our power plant, there's gonna be a lot of citizens not very happy.
But we have 3 engines, right?
Right.
We're only planning to do 2.
Yeah, but what the CAT is a new enough engine, they know everything is, I mean, yes, we will do it, but we didn't have to have it tested because it's a new enough engine. Caterpillar knows what we
Right,
need.
you just order them all under the
Yes,
fence.
we know what needs to be on it. So that's why we didn't have it tested.
I'm just saying we can't afford any of it.
I'm not gonna argue with you, Kevin, but we gotta stay in compliance. And I know this emission thing's coming on.
So, yes, we're gonna go forward. Okay. Any questions for Dawn this evening? Thanks, Dawn. Yes, you can. Okay, business is over with. Old business. Yes. Already talked about number 1. No. Oh, no, number 2, my bad. Large animal. No, we're on that. Okay.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.